What is real? When everything is always changing, what is that one thing that remains, that is constant? Pure consciousness is. And this pure consciousness flows through us. Focus on the silence between sounds now. Look around you, look at the space. Not the objects, not your thoughts, just the space. In this stillness, in this presence, in the now, you become one with the pure consciousness. No, you remember who you really are. The universe remembers itself through you, as you. This is what remains all the time. It doesn't change. This pure consciousness, this awareness, that is real. That is in the now. It is not found in the past or the future. It is only always in the now, in the eternal presence. And what is past and future anyways? They don't even exist. They are just thoughts in our heads. It's not like we can walk into the past or the future now. We are in the now. Always that too. As you focus being more present, you will find your inner state shifting towards pure consciousness, and that is God, or whatever you call it. And we cannot understand or explain God by words. It is beyond our perception. However, we can experience it, and that is by being present in the now. And the now is what is real. In this now, anything is possible. You are both the creator and the created. This video is about the ego. If you want to understand more about what I've spoken till now, you can watch my previous speaking video. Before we start discussing about the ego, I'll share that I know absolutely nothing. My motto is to keep questioning. And in my previous video, I shared my insights, my perspective, and that is what I do. And I want to question more and more and more. And what I share, I live it. What is the ego? When we think about ego, mostly people think ego is this inflated sense of self. When somebody calls a person to be an egoistic person, they're insinuating that that person is selfish or arrogant or prideful. That is an overpowering sense of self, but I'm talking about the basic ego. Ego means the idea you have of yourself, your opinion of yourself. A sense of separate self is what the ego is. It is a psychological identity that says, I am this name, this body, this story. It filters reality through survival or status. But here's what's often misunderstood. The ego is not the enemy. The ego is just a vehicle that we're journeying life with. The ego is the mask we wear so that the infinite can play as us. Without the ego, the pure consciousness, the infinite intelligence, God, whatever, it couldn't experience life as you. So the ego is necessary. But what we do not need is the unconscious ego. Let me give you an analogy here. Think of a video game. There are different game characters, right? Let's say you created the game. You created the game characters. There are multiple characters. You could play the game as any of them, and you choose a specific character. Let's say Hagrid. And when you're playing as Hagrid in this video game, you are Hagrid, but you're also not Hagrid. You are you. From your perspective, and from Hagrid's perspective, Hagrid is Hagrid, but it is also not Hagrid because it is you acting through it. So we are like the characters in the game, except we have free will, unlike the game characters. So when it comes to the unconscious ego, the ego that is not directed or controlled, we don't destroy it, but we transcend it so that we can be free, so that we can direct our conscious ego. So how do we transcend this ego? By acknowledging it, by seeing it clearly and not identifying with it. And then we integrate the ego, we love it, we take care of it, and we become free because we are directing it consciously. When you look at yourself in the mirror, you see yourself, right? You see your body, your physical vessel. And this mirror, it is man-made, isn't it? And we know that man's creations are an extensions of nature's creations, and God is nature. So if the mirror is man-made, then what is nature's mirror? Is it water that faintly reflects ourselves? It is the sky. The sky is a mirror. I was on my regular evening walks yesterday on the top of my building, and it was a colorful sky. From yellow to purple, it was an aesthetic view. And I had a slow compounding realization. I observed the sky. It was always still. It didn't change ever. The sky doesn't change, does it? But the clouds, they're fleeting. They come and go. They're ever changing. But the sky simply is. It is still. And I realized, oh, the sky reflects our pure consciousness. It shows us what we truly are. And the clouds reflect our thoughts, emotions, feelings, identities, accomplishments, stories, etc. Sky is the same empty space with unmanifested potential that gets occupied by cloud guests. The sky showed my perspective on consciousness, and that paradoxes are the language of God. We are both God and this unique soul simultaneously. I hope now the distinction is clearer. If so, then let's move on to level 2, transcending the unconscious ego. The unconscious ego functions on impulse rather than intuition. It resists than flow. And sadly, this is the state that most people are operating at, but we're changing that. Remember that the universe is you remembering itself through you, as you. And you have always been awake. You're just remembering it now. There was never any destination to reach. You already are whole. When we live unconsciously, constantly seeking validation, control, achievements, we forget who we truly are. But once we become aware, we can integrate the ego and let go of it controlling us. And we become free. You're watching this video, but sooner or later you might forget. And we always forget. So you need to cultivate some daily practices to remember. And for that, you've got to question yourself. You could simply, throughout your day, ask yourself, who am I? Who am I? If I'm not my name, my identity, my emotions, who am I? Like, simply asking that question will shift your inner state and bring that complete consciousness. And then you remember. And whenever the ego reacts, craving attention, seeking approval, comparing or defending, pause and observe, witness it without judgment. Because it is not you, it is a pattern that you have inherited or constructed. And when you ask who is aware of this, you remember that you are the one. So stay in that presence with that awareness. And you can respond intuitively or respond calmly rather than react impulsively whenever the emotions want to come out. Because you are not emotions, and you do not need to label your thoughts or resist them or attach with the emotions. By simply staying with the presence, the emotions flow and dissolve and the ego melts. When you fully surrender to the present moment, the ego loses its grip. The unconscious ego wants power, it wants to control, it wants to believe that it is the master, it wants to create the separation. And when that happens, you lose humility, you lose service. But once you remember and you surrender, the ego lets go because it has nothing to protect anymore. And you're not trying to be nothing. You're being a true something, somebody, an embodied, aligned expression of the infinite. You are nothing, yet through the ego you express everything. You are the formless one, yet you appear as form. When you direct your ego to be for the service of all, for God, remembering that you are all, you are one, You embody coherence between being this unique soul that you are, that you're consciously directing, and the pure consciousness. Your ego becomes the character through which God plays its unique melody. So use identity as a tool and not a prison. You can play any role you want to, as long as you remember that you're not confined to them. Before any decision, ask yourself, what would my highest self do? And let the ego take action and not lead or decide. You decide. When your identity is rooted in presence, your ego becomes a channel for God. So ego is not the enemy. Unconscious ego is something that teaches you to change and to direct yourself, because you are the director and your ego, your identity, is just the actor. And you're co-creating life with the infinite intelligence, whatever it is, and you are the creator of your reality. I hope you could take away something from this video. If you have anything to share or any questions to ask, feel free to comment. I will check them out. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next one.